done extremely well, and they've both been posting really good times as we've been moving towards this. Everybody seems to be set to go. So now we're just waiting for the countdown, and then we will get started. So you'll notice, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit while they're getting started. So you'll notice that both players have parties that are warrior, thief, black mage, white mage. That is how the run has been optimized, and that's to make the best opportunity of using the equipment glitch. So you'll be seeing the equipment glitch within the first 30 seconds of the match. And we will just be abusing the heck out of it for the entirety of the run. So the runner should be starting just about any second now. Just about any second now. Anytime now. Maybe. Maybe. Aha! And we're off. All right. So the first thing they're going to do while they're in Cornelia is they're going to go into the weapon shop and they're going to buy one hammer. So next thing they're going to do is they're going to use the equipment glitch, which, trying to explain it, I'm kind of a knuckle dragger, so I don't know all the science. But essentially, the weapons and the armor have similar identification codes in the tables that they're on. And so by using the memory cursor, it's a frame-perfect glitch. By using a bumper and X button, we put the cursor in the slot where we want to glitch an item. And then the hammer, and so what we'll do is we'll use the hammer and we'll put it on another character in one of the armor slots, preferably the glove for this one. And you're going to hit bumper and X at the same time. And so the game is going to read hammer, and then it's actually going to put a knight's armor in the glove slot, which doesn't make sense, right? We don't usually wear an entire suit of armor on our gloves. Well, that's one of the great things about the glitch, is it allows us to put weapons and armor in places that they shouldn't be. So for instance, we'll be able to put weapons on characters that shouldn't be able to equip it, and we'll also be able to put pieces of armor in places that we shouldn't be able to. Not inappropriately, but just places that we shouldn't be able to. And we'll even be able to stack it. So you'll see later on in the run where we will duplicate, because it's an item duplication glitch as well. And we'll have multiples of the same piece of armor in multiple armor slots, which allows us to stack the defensive bonus as well as any special bonuses that they have. So you'll notice that GreenCleric is the first one into the Chaos Shrine, and he is going over to the only chest that we're going to collect in here, which is in the bottom left. And so it's a leather helm. So we're going to use the equipment glitch again, and the leather helm turns into the Judgment Staff. So the Knight's armor is a suit of armor that we should not have until we get to Melmond, so about a third of the way through the game. It's a pretty powerful piece of armor, and it's also one of the most expensive ones. So by having extra sets of Knight's armor, which everybody's running right now with one extra set in their inventory, we can pretty much sell all 5 sets of Knight's armor that we have right now, and it will give us all the cash we need for the entire run. So we don't have to worry about money management. So you'll notice that they're fighting Garland. Garland is threatening to knock us down. But because we have the Judgment Staff, which is a staff that you would get near the end of the game in one of the bonus dungeons, it has a high enough attack bonus that we can just beat Garland to death using a end of game staff. So we've quickly dispatched Garland, and in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, we have accomplished what it takes Super Mario Bros. 1 speedrunners to do in 4 minutes and 56 seconds, which is save the princess. So take that, Mario. We beat you by 2 minutes. All right. So both runners have gone to talk to the princess. That's something that's actually really important. If you were playing the original NES version, you could exit the throne room without picking up the loot, because there's nothing to indicate that you need to talk to Princess Sarah. So you could play the entire game on the NES version and get to the Chaos Shrine and get stuck. And once you enter the Chaos Shrine, the final dungeon, you can never leave. So it would totally screw up your entire save file. So in the PSP version, which is the 20th anniversary edition of the game, in this remake, they have it set up that if you try to walk out of the throne room, you will do a slow automatic walk of shame back to the princess so she can give you the loot. And because we've saved the princess, amazingly enough, they've decided that it's time to build a bridge, or rebuild the bridge, repair it, so that way you can reconnect with the rest of the world. I don't know why they've decided that isolation was the best thing, but now we have access to the rest of the world. So YoshiKyon has triggered the second major animation that we did. You might remember that there was an animation at the very beginning when the runner started that we skipped. This is the second major cutscene that we're going to skip. As soon as the birds pop out of the ground, if you're mashing X, you can skip the entire slow text scrolling cutscene. And apparently, Trenton says that we can use warp or exit to get out of the Chaos Shrine if you were missing the loot. 10-year-old me did not know that, so I just ruined my save file. It was awesome. I never came back to the game. It was so frustrating. So you'll notice that our runners are trying their best to avoid forest tiles as much as possible. The reason is that depending on the terrain tile that you're on, it has a higher probability of a random encounter. By the way, Alpha Squid, I totally agree with you. Final Fantasy IV is my favorite Final Fantasy as well. I especially like Golbez. Golbez is my favorite character. 10-year-old me did try to get good. He just sucked at it. So Provoka, which is where we're at now, has a pirate problem, which we are now going to rectify by using the Judgment Staff as an item. So just like many Final Fantasy games, if you use a staff as an item, it casts a spell. So GreenCleric has just cast Flare. Sorry, the first thing that came to mind was the NES spell, which was Nuke. But it's Flare. So you'll notice that YoshiKyon went into the armor shop first, sold that knight's armor, and then bought a leather shield. So at least that's what I think I saw. So if that's what YoshiKyon did, then that means that YoshiKyon is using the White Mage Lust Dagger route. GreenCleric for sure is using the White Mage Lust Dagger because he just bought a leather shield. So the reason that we need the leather shield is that later on in the game, we are going to use the leather shield to glitch a mage staff. The mage staff allows us to cast Fire for free. And we'll be using the heck out of that for a lot of the run. It allows us to manage the mobs. Okay, so Alpha Squid, I think what you're asking is, if you're asking about the gold icon underneath YoshiKyon, that is a Golden Chaos trophy. So YoshiKyon won the first match. We are in the finals. We're doing the best 3 out of 5. So YoshiKyon won the first match. So this is his opportunity to try and put a little bit more pressure on GreenCleric. Now you'll notice that YoshiKyon just ducked in and out of the castle. There's 2 reasons to do that. One, it saves you having to walk on 3 different square tiles, so it reduces the chance of a random encounter. The second thing it does is by going in and out of a town, castle, village, it actually resets the RNG counter. So that way it helps to hopefully minimize how many random encounters we have. Let's see, and GreenCleric's going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you go in the castle or into the village. All right, it looks like GreenCleric is going to go ahead and buy Golden Needles. So Golden Needles is a safety strat, a marathon safety strat. It is the only time you're going to need that is if your characters were to get petrified. The Golden Needle is the remedy that allows us to remedy petrification. If you're doing a PB or a world record run, you're not going to pick up the Golden Needles. If you get petrified, you're just going to quit. Because getting the Golden Needles takes time, taking care of petrification takes time, so you're probably just going to skip that. So YoshiKyon is our first in Marsh Cave. So the nice thing about Marsh Cave is A, the smallest dungeon we're going to play in all day, which is awesome. Second, it has the lowest encounter rate of any dungeon that we're going to be in all night. So there are times that you can go all the way to the Pisco Demon fight and have 0 encounters. All right, so YoshiKyon is going to quickly heal up his characters. And the reason we do that is because the tile he just stepped on is a trap tile, spike tile, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, it is a programmed encounter, so it's not random. The only thing random about this encounter is how many Pisco Demons you will have. So you'll notice YoshiKyon got the max, which is 4. The minimum you would get is 2. Now, if they're both running White Mage Lust Dagger route, the number of Pisco Demons right now doesn't matter. With Black Mage Lust Dagger, because the Black Mage is actually going to be casting magic and learning magic, it's really important. White Mage, not so important. So the reason that you want to heal up before you go into the Pisco Demon fight is because Pisco Demons have a high probability of a critical. So you'll notice on Avoid, the White Mage, the Pisco Demon did 41 damage. So that's why we heal up, because it's a pain in the butt if your characters die this early in the game. Because we're minimizing how many random encounters we do, the mini bosses and the boss fights are where we get all of our leveling. So if the wrong person dies at the wrong time, it really just screws up the rest of the run. It makes it so that you have to continue to compensate throughout the run. So our runners have both defeated the Pisco Demons. They've both collected the crown. Now, if you were playing casually, you more than likely would have gone to the Western Keep, and you would have met a elf king who says that he's missing a crown. And he gives you the hint of where to find Marsh Cave, and you go back and go into Marsh Cave to get the crown. So YoshiKyon and GreenCleric are now going to go to Western Keep for the first time. Like I said, casually it would have probably been the second time. And we'll be presenting the crown to Astos. Now, the random encounters are slowing both of our runners down. It's kind of equal, really. They're both having lots. Oh, GreenCleric had a one-step random. That sucks. All right, so YoshiKyon is the first into the Astos fight. So here's where we find out that Astos is not the nice guy he led us to believe. He's actually a dark elf, but unlike Driz Duwarden, for those of you that are familiar with like old D&D novels, he's not a nice dark elf. This guy's a bad dark elf. So the way we're going to set this up is we're going to have Fighter Thief doing melee attacks, and we're going to have Black Mage, White Mage using the Judgment Staff to do Flare. Now, YoshiKyon had probably the best RNG we have possible in this fight, which is that Astos does a physical attack. Because we have Knight's Armor on, which is armor we shouldn't have at this stage in the game, a physical attack from Astos, unless you're really low on HP, is not going to kill anybody. But the worst case scenario, Astos has a high probability round 1 of casting Death. If he casts Death and he kills the Black Mage or the White Mage, we're doing level management again. It's a pain in the butt. Ideally, the Warrior is the person, if he's going to cast Death, we're okay with Warrior dying. For the most part, the only purpose Warrior serves in this, or the Fighter, in this entire run is for the equipment glitch. If we could find a way to not need Warrior, we would probably go with 2 Thieves, just because by the end of the run, the Thief hits significantly harder than the Fighter does. And, oh no! Did it miss or did it hit? It missed! Woo! Congratulations, GreenCleric, you dodged that one. So there is a chance that Death misses. It's not a great chance, but it really worked out for GreenCleric because the Black Mage dying is a pain. We don't like that at all. Now, since GreenCleric is running the White Mage Lust Dagger, which is not the run that I do Black Mage. I'm not exactly sure if the Black Mage dying is as big of a deal as it is when I do Black Mage, because for Black Mage, if he dies, oh my gosh, it makes it so painful. Ooh, okay. So YoshiKyon and Provoka, I was caught between 2 screens. Apparently he did his item shopping in Provoka. It was not an armor shop. So YoshiKyon is running Black Mage Lust Dagger. GreenCleric is running White Mage Lust Dagger. So the difference between the two is the Black Mage is actually learning the magic, whereas GreenCleric, using the White Mage Lust Dagger route, the White Mage is going to be using items over and over and over. So a common question is, which route is faster? And the answer is, they're both fast. It's really up to the runner whether it's faster or not. For me personally, Black Mage is a faster route for me because I am terrible with item inventory management. If you run White Mage Lust Dagger enough, you probably know approximately where items are going to end up in your inventory. The thing I like about Black Mage Lust Dagger is that if you are consistent in the order you purchase your spells, the spells are going to be in the same spot in your spell list every single time. So for me, Black Mage Lust Dagger is better. But I mean, ultimately, it's the runner that makes it fast. It's not so much whether it's White Mage or Black Mage. That's really just preference. So one of the things you'll notice is that YoshiKyon, when he's parking the ship really on about the first tile that you have for the port. There's a reason for that. Port tiles have a 0% chance encounter rate. So for instance, in my last race against was Portside. In my last race against Portside, I missed jumping off on the first tile of the port. I actually accidentally ended up on the second tile, and I got a random encounter. So by jumping on the port tiles, you minimize the, 2-3 tiles that you're going to be going all the way to the end of the port if you want to just like slam the ship into the port. If you pilot ships like my kids use Matchbox cars, which is to slam it. If you do that, you have 2 more squares of potential random encounters. So it's slower potentially because of the walking animation, faster in that it may actually help you avoid a random encounter. So YoshiKyon has, at this point, gone into Matoya's cave. Actually, both runners have. They've gone to Matoya's cave. We've traded our crystal eyeball that we've gotten from Astos, and we've gotten a Jolt Tonic, a Witch's Brew. For those of you that are more familiar with the NES version, we gave Matoya a crystal ball and got the herb. So I guess we don't promote drugs. So instead of an herb, quote unquote, we went with a Jolt Tonic. So instead of pot waking him up, we're going with energy drinks or coffee. So you'll notice the runners are really close. At one point, they were probably about 30 seconds apart, 30 to 40 seconds. They're now pretty much about 5 to 10 seconds apart. And that's one of the great things about this run. It's one of the reasons why I love the Final Fantasy I tournament is the way RNG works in this game. It can be a great equalizer where as long as you have done the run a couple times and are familiar with it, you can be competitive against some of the best players, best speedrunners of this game. So that's a great feeling when you're able to put pressure on guys that are in the single digits, which is one of the things I finally got to do in this tournament. And that was really a great feeling, even though I pretty much lost to all of them. So it's kind of more of a, what do they call it? Moral victory, which I'll take that. It was still awesome to see that someone who's been speedrunning the game for about 2 years can be competitive against someone who's been speedrunning it for 5 years. So when you saw them jump in and out of the castle after we got the Mystic Key, that was to save about 5 seconds of walking. So it saves you having to walk around the castle. You just duck in, duck out, and it saves you about 2 to 5 seconds. So we've done more equipment glitching by walking into that treasure room. By the way, I hope you take a glance at Cornelia Castle, because this is the last time we're going to see the carpets here. Now you'll notice that GreenCleric ducks into the first and the second treasure rooms. YoshiKyon, because he's using the Black Mage, will only go in the second treasure room to get the Nitro Powder. GreenCleric, because he's using the White Mage, needs to duck in and pick up the, the Mystic Knife. And eventually what'll happen is he'll glitch the Mystic Knife and make a black robe or a black shirt. In the NES version, it's the black shirt. So the black shirt allows you to cast Blazaria for free. Now you'll notice that GreenCleric is still using the Judgment Staff at this point, and that's because the intelligence modifier on the White Mage is still low enough that it's better to use Flare than to try and use another one. Also, he doesn't have the Gauntlets yet. The Gauntlets is going to be the only way that GreenCleric can cast Thundara, whereas YoshiKyon will be able to cast Thundara earlier because the Black Mage can learn the spell sooner than we will get the Gauntlets. So we're now in Duergar Cave, and we are delivering the Nitro Powder. And by giving the Nitro Powder to the Duergar, they are going to... Actually, what's this guy's name? Narek. So by giving the Nitro Powder to Narek is going to blow up the Isthmus that is keeping us from being able to have access to the remainder of the world. So... And part of that is because in an old school NES game, that was one of these fetch quests, or how they kind of gated the game to make it so that way you don't, as too low of a level, get into an area where you're just going to get absolutely destroyed. Because this is one of the, this is probably one of, it's one of the first JRPGs. I mean, Dragon Quest 1 and Final Fantasy 1 came out pretty close to each other. So they didn't have really good hints as to where to go. So by using these fetch quests, it helped to force you to go where the programmers wanted you to go. So now, essentially, this is an open world game. So the bridge kept us on the peninsula with Cornelia Castle. Once we beat Garland, then we can cross the bridge, have access to the rest of the inland sea. And once we have defeated Astos and gotten some higher leveled equipment, then we blow up the Isthmus, and now we have access to the remainder of the world. Now that does not mean there aren't areas that you could jump into at this point and die instantly. There's lots of that. But the intent was to try and minimize it so that you don't die so quickly. So you'll notice there's a whirlpool that both of our participants are sailing past. That is actually where there's a bonus dungeon. So one of the main differences between the PSP version, the GBA version, the PSP and the GBA and the NES version is bonus dungeons. So the GBA version added 4 bonus dungeons, each of which is unlocked by defeating one of the 4 fiends. The PSP version has an extra bonus dungeon that you won't see until the very end of the run. Not that we're going in there, but you'll see it getting unlocked, which is in the Chaos Shrine, which is a timed it's a time challenge. All right, so you'll notice YoshiKyon ethered up his Black Mage. That's very important. Otherwise, it defeats the whole purpose of the Black Mage Lust Dagger if you have all these cool spells and your Black Mage does not have the ability to cast the magic. The other thing that because I was busy talking and I didn't mention earlier, is they bought steel gauntlets from the armor shop and then used the equipment glitch to get the barbarian sword. Now you may wonder why they did it in the manner that they did. So the steel gauntlets can only be used by the fighter, so you glitch from the fighter to the thief, and then you drop that barbarian sword into your inventory, have the fighter equip it, and then redo the glitch so that way you have the barbarian sword on both characters. The reason you do that is because when you're doing the equipment glitch, the first place the game is going to look is in your inventory. So if the barbarian sword is sitting in your inventory, item inventory, when you do the glitch, it's not going to duplicate it. It's going to pull it out of your inventory and put it on the character. So by making sure that the barbarian sword was actually equipped to somebody, when the game looked in the inventory box and saw that we did not have a barbarian sword, that's what allows us to duplicate and create another barbarian sword. So YoshiKyon is on B3. B3 is sometimes the first place we may see a safety save. You'll notice GreenCleric has just done a safety save. The reason is B3 is where it starts to get a little bit dangerous. It's the first time in this run that you'll have unrunnable encounters. So for instance, Pisco Demons, which were a mini boss about 10 minutes ago, are still flagged as an unrunnable encounter. So when you run into them, you've got to fight them. The other thing is you have a chance of petrification. So if you get everybody petrified, the safety save helps you not to go all the way back to the start. You can also get paralocked in here because there's lots of undead. So getting paralocked sucks. It's sometimes faster just to restart from a safety save than wait to slowly die. Now, usually you don't see Vampire get an attack off. Usually we can attack him faster because now we have, it's not, is it Thief's Armlets? I think I'm trying to remember. So they have a piece of armor on right now. I think it's a Thief's Armor. So the Thief's Armlet gives you a defense boost and an agility boost. So a lot of times we can outmaneuver Vampire because we can just move faster. You'll also notice that the Barbarian swords have made it so that the fighter and the thief can kill him instantly. And that's by design. It makes it so that way the warrior and the thief essentially are cannons. They kill everything just about in one hit. The only things that will not be killed in one hit are going to be bosses for the most part. So Lich, Marilith, Kraken, and Tiamat. You'll notice YoshiKyon got ambushed by an undead pack, so 2 characters are paralyzed. So he decided the better part of valor was to just go ahead and use the Judgment Staff to get out of there. Because you'll notice that over half that pack got to attack. So you're just trying to avoid getting stuck and not being able to escape. Now you'll notice that YoshiKyon intentionally did not heal up the warrior all the way. Again, that's by design. As once we get through the Earth Cave, we're going to allow the warrior and the thief to both die. They're both going to take dirt naps for about a 10-minute span. And that's so we can focus the XP gain on the White Mage and Black Mage. Because as they level up, they will be able to, as they cast spells, the spells will be more powerful. For the most part, the thief and the warrior, once we resurrect them, or once we use the Phoenix down on them after the short level grind that we do for the White Mage, Black Mage, they will just naturally get enough levels that they will be just fine for the Chaos fight. So, and you'll notice RNG, at one point, YoshiKyon was significantly ahead, probably by about 20, well, not significantly, but like 20 to 30 seconds ahead. RNG has equalized it, so he's really not that far ahead. So we're now in the Giant's Cave. So the ruby that we picked up from the vampire's room, we give it to the Giant, and that's what allows the Giant us to pass by the Giant. The Giant's going to move out of the way, and then we have access to the Sage's Cave. So if you were playing this casually, you may have foolishly thought that after beating the vampire, you would be able to continue on to attack Lich. Well, no. We still have more fetch questing to do. So you would have found a stone tablet sitting on the exit of the level of B3, and then you will have to crawl all the way out, come all the way back. That's why Earth Cave to me is one of the more frustrating dungeons, because you're going to traverse it 3 times. 4 times. 3 times. In, out, and then back in. Because there's a teleport tile after you kill Lich, so you don't have to walk all the way out. Alright, so YoshiKyon is the first one in the Sage's Cave. The Sage's Cave has no encounters. And you will talk to the Sage and get an Earth Rod. Alright. So, both of our runners have the Earth Rod and are going to go back to the Earth Cave. Now, if you have seen this run before, you may have seen that some of the participants love to use the 15 number sliding puzzle. So what the 15 number sliding puzzle does is it gives you a 1 in 6 chance, if you complete it between 30 seconds and a minute, of getting an emergency escape. The emergency escape allows you to not to have to traverse all the way out of Earth Cave. You can just do the warp, and it can save you about 2 minutes. Now, neither runner elected to do that because you have it's a 1 in 6 chance, but you're going to lose 30 seconds in trying to get it. So a lot of people don't do it, but there have been races that have been decided by having an emergency exit. In fact, I lost a race because somebody used the emergency exit and I could never make up the 2-minute time difference. And you'll notice even with all the items we have stacked on our characters, there are some times where a wolf pack can be really challenging to get away from. And that's because they have such a high agility score that even with the item stacking that we're doing, it can still sometimes be challenging to escape wolves, and then when you're on sea tiles, Sahagins. And both of our runners are essentially in the same spot on B2. And you'll notice that GreenCleric is doing another safety save on B3. Again, it's because this is where it starts to get more dangerous. On B3, B4, B5, you can run into Pisco Demons, cockatrices. There's just all sorts of bad things that can happen. And we've seen races end because people avoided safety saves. Now, depending on what you're running on, a safety save may or may not be a bigger deal. So a lot of us that were participating in the tournament are running on emulator. For the most part, PPSSPP, which is the emulator that we all use, perfectly mimics the PSP. So operationally, it runs the same. The one edge that emulation has over someone who's playing off of a console is that the console actually, even though we're running generally the ISO on the console still has to go onto the memory stick, write it, and so it's about 2 to 3 seconds longer to save on console than using emulation. Emulation, it saves instantly. So if you're running emulation, there's really no reason not to do a safety save unless you believe you're so close that it will win or lose you a match, which in a run that in a race I had earlier in August, it did. Double Drop elected not to do the safety save in front of the Chaos fight and beat me by 8 seconds. So it made all the difference for him. So both of our runners have used the Earth Staff. You'll notice that GreenCleric is doing another safety save on B5 just in front of Lich. Everybody does the safety save in front of Lich. If you don't, you are foolish and you're trying to throw away your run. Because Lich has a very high probability of casting Blizzaria first round. If Lich casts Blizzaria, everyone will die. Oh no! Yep, sorry GreenCleric. So even though both the warrior and the thief hit, they had a low damage score, so he had to do a reset. That's unfortunately because we're running at such low levels. I did not curse him. I said that it was good that he saved there, because if he didn't, he probably would have ripped. Because who wants to start with a 30-minute deficit? I try really hard not to curse these guys. I was just saying that he just demonstrated exactly why everybody has to save here. Because if you don't, Lich is going to get you. And really, of the 4 fiends we're going to fight, Lich is the most dangerous. Lich is the most dangerous the first time, and we will actually refight all the fiends again in the Chaos Shrine, and Lich is still the most dangerous we're going to fight. So both of our participants have now beaten Lich, the most dangerous fiend that we're going to run into until we go back into the Chaos Shrine. I mean, Tiamat a little bit, but not Not as much as Lich. Lich really is a freaking troll. I hate Lich. There was one time I had to reset 7 times. No, 5. It was 5 times. It felt like 7 times, but I had to reset 5 times because Lich kept moving first and casting Blizzaria. And even if you heal up all the way, I see what you did there, Shawnee. Nice. But he just kept outspeeding me. Now, interesting, cool tidbit. GreenCleric just ran into Shadows, and you'll notice that he got a preemptive strike. Believe it or not, when they were programming the game, the intent was for the Shadows to have a high probability of ambushing you. They accidentally inverted the score, and actually you have a very, very high probability of a preemptive strike on Shadows, which is really cool. It benefits us. I mean, right now GreenCleric is winning, but I would say GreenCleric's only winning by maybe 20 to 30 seconds. And here's the thing. Even though GreenCleric is ahead by 20 to 30 seconds, we are about to enter one of the most dangerous parts of the run, which is Ice Cavern. There have been lots of matches during this tournament that have been decided by Ice Cave. If you don't do a safety save or whatnot, there's so many things in Ice Cave that can kill you that it can set you really, really far behind. Now, YoshiKyon's been getting some really bad RNG recently, so he's actually falling a little bit further behind. I would say YoshiKyon's almost a minute behind now, and that's just that Sahagin encounter and just the constant encounters is setting him further and further behind. All right, so this is an item. We're getting ready to do some item glitching again. So GreenCleric is going to grab the Mithril Gauntlet and the Mithril Axe. So we're going to do a quick equipment glitch, and essentially what we're going to do is we're going to change out the Thief's Armlets for black garbs. So the black garb gives us a higher defense and it gives us a higher agility score. So we're trying to really stack the dexterity so that way the white mage and the black mage are going to have a higher chance of not dying because they'll hit first. Because the Lust Dagger is actually a really good dagger, so it's going to give them a very high attack. And also the Lust Dagger gives you a dexterity bonus as well. You'll notice that they also are going to do a formation change. This is the only time we do a formation change, and it's just so that way we can we can swap the white mage and the black mage so we can get them set up. All right, so Yoshi's finishing up the item glitching, and GreenCleric has secured the canoe and is on his way out. Now, runners just high-fived each other. High five, guys. So the canoe now allows us to have access to fresh water. We can traverse the fresh water. The nice thing about fresh water is it has a very low encounter rate. As I recall, the fresh water has about the same encounter rate as marsh tiles. So it's really ideal. So there will be times you will see that the runners are intentionally maximizing traversing the freshwater tiles because the freshwater actually has a lower encounter rate than regular plain tiles. Thank you. All right, so Yoshi is headed back to the ship. And again, like somebody mentioned in chat, Yoshi's just been getting trolled by the RNG and is falling a little bit further behind. GreenCleric's been pretty fortunate so far. Has not had too many encounters, and the ones that he's had, he's been able to get away from really quick. Now, what I will tell you is, as much fun as this run is to do a marathon and a race, doing PB grinding in this game is super painful, and it's because of the RNG. Because you can be on world record pace, and the game just decides that not today. And you'll have RNG and it'll completely trash your run. So you'll notice that GreenCleric did the safety save before we go into Ice Cavern. So that's safety save 2. If you don't make that safety save, you're foolish. Because There are so many things in Ice Cavern that can kill you. If you run into ice dragons and they ambush you, they have a high probability of casting Ice Storm. If you have a pack of 2 of them, 2 Ice Storms will pretty much wipe out your entire party. You'll notice that we have large packs of Pisco Demons, and GreenCleric has to fight through them. That's because they're still flagged as a mini-boss. Let's see, what other horrible, nasty things can you run into here? You've got Dark Wizards. Dark Wizards can cast Fire-Aga. Fire-Aga will kill your entire party in 1 hit. You've got Mind Flayers. Mind Flayers have an AoE stun attack that will stun everybody, and Mind Flayers have a very, very high probability of instant killing you. When a Mind Flayer hits you when you're in a stunned state, it doesn't even give you a damage counter, like telling you how much damage they took off you. You just die. Instantly. Dead. Nothing you can do about it. Doesn't matter how high your defense is. If they make that probability of getting that instant kill, you're just done. So you'll notice that there's some floors that have cracks on them. There are specific floor tiles that we're going to step on to position us in the right places in this ice cavern. So we've fallen through the first one. And you'll notice that YoshiKyon caught up. This is one of the things that's so wild about this game. It's back and forth. YoshiKyon is now pretty much caught right up with GreenCleric. They're neck and neck again. So I would say at one point, YoshiKyon was about a minute, almost a minute and a half behind. Oh, this could be bad. Oh, no. Oh, shoot. GreenCleric's going to have to reset again. Did GreenCleric do a safety save at the spike tile? I didn't see. Yes! Whew! That was a very fortuitous save. Gosh, GreenCleric, that's like the fourth Dark Wizard encounter he's had. He is just having rotten luck all of a sudden. Now you can run away from an Ice Gigas. The Ice Gigas Ice Wolf encounter, or the Ice Gigas Frost Wolf encounter, is when you can't run away. A solitary Ice Gigas, I believe you can run away from. And an ambush with cockatrices and mummies. That's not good. But so far... Okay, so far we've had nobody getting stoned. That's good. Now you'll notice YoshiKyon has allowed the warrior and the thief to die. So, like I mentioned earlier, that's by design. That's to focus all the experience points on the Black Mage, White Mage. So now we're going to do the only level grind we do this entire game, this entire run, which is right here, just going back and forth on the Evil Eye tile. And the reason we do that is because it's a guaranteed experience points. First of all, the Evil Eye is worth a ton of experience. And we can consistently get the same amount of experience. So YoshiKyon is going to either go all the way to level 18 or what we call 17 plus 1. So as we continue to grind this tile, you're going to get to level 16 and you'll have to do 2 battles to get to 17. And then from 17, it'll take 2 battles to get to level 18. That's just the amount of experience that we're getting. So some people will skip the second encounter with the Evil Eye, so 17 plus 1, and with the assumption that due to unrunnable encounters for the remainder of the run, you will get to level 19 before we do our final spell shopping. Me personally, I grind to level 18. I had it go bad one time. And you'll notice YoshiKyon elected to go all the way to level 8. And GreenCleric, it took a while to get... Why did GreenCleric not heal? Okay, GreenCleric is doing a YOLO right now. Usually, you will heal up at that point, so that way you can ensure that if there's it's a 1 in 1,000 chance, but there is the chance that Evil Eye can move first and can cast a Thundara and kill everybody. But I think GreenCleric either GreenCleric is watching or feels that because he's had to reset twice, he may be behind. So going with the YOLO and just trying to get the grind done. All right, let's see. Oh, Yoshi just got a Mind Flayer ambush. And... oh! Ooh, that made my heart stop. Okay, when the Mind Flayer does that, there's usually a really good chance that everyone gets stunned. So now GreenCleric is done with the level grind, went all the way to level 18 on the White Mage, Black Mage, and has rezzed the Thief. So you'll notice that both runners have brought the Thief back. That's so that way the Thief can start getting levels. Like I mentioned earlier, we really don't need Warrior. And by the time we bring Warrior back in Mount Gold, the amount of levels that he will get will make it so that he's fairly even with the Thief. The Thief will still hit significantly harder, but the level grinding it would take... okay, this is math, and I'm really terrible with math. But essentially, by focusing the experience points on Thief, White Mage, Black Mage, we're in a better position for the Chaos fight than if we rezzed both the Fighter and the Thief at the same time. And you'll notice the runners are practically on each other. GreenCleric has about a 1 to 2 second lead, which a random encounter will erase that lead. Wow, they both have almost... okay, I'm not going to say it. Not going to say it. Not going to say it. Wow, that was amazing. They actually got almost... I think... was that a 0 encounter? I'm pretty sure that was a 0 encounter. They got all the way from Ice Cavern to the ship without an encounter. That's epic. That doesn't happen very often. So, say goodbye to the ship. We're leaving it parked there, and we will never go back to it. And you'll notice that both times we've now twice parked the ship right next to a freshwater tile, and we were able to jump into the canoe. That was something that was in the NES version, and is still in this version. You're right. I did think it, but I didn't say it. See, Commentator's Curse requires you to say it. It's like uttering a spell. You can't think the spell. You have to say the words that let you use the spell. So I made sure I didn't cast the Commentator Curse spell. So we now have the airship, and we skip the airship animation because the airship cutscene is really, 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 really long. Oh, GreenCleric, get away, get away, get away, get away. Oh, this could be bad. Okay, whew. So sandworms are bad. Sandworms have a 1 in a... what is it? Somebody figured out. It was like a 1 in 1,096% chance that they cast Earthquake and kill everybody in one hit. So Earthquake is not guaranteed to damage everybody, but there's that 1 in a 1,096% chance that they cast Earthquake and it kills everybody. Damon Cord, thank you for the sub. All subs help to ensure that we continue to... SG Speed Gaming has the opportunity to keep these Twitch channels open that allows us to have tournaments like this. When I first started doing this tournament, there was only 3 Speed Gaming channels. I think we're now up to 7. So that's just lots more opportunities for having multiple tournaments running at the same time, which is really awesome. So we're now in the Citadel of Trials. We had to talk to the old man, and then that unlocks the castle so we can start going through it. So it's a teleport maze. And, well, thank you for subbing to Speed Gaming 2. That's awesome. Excuse me. So we're doing the teleport maze. Now, there's a secret to the teleport maze. Always take the bottom teleporter. If you always take the bottom teleporter, you will get to the end of the maze. You'll notice YoshiKyon is having to fight the Zombie Minotaur. The Zombie Minotaur is an unrunnable encounter. It doesn't matter what the pack consists of. If there's a Zombie Minotaur in the mob, you have to fight it. Now, you'll notice GreenCleric is fighting the Nightmares. There's 2 purposes behind that. First, Nightmares have a very, very high agility, so you have a chance of having to run multiple times to get away from them. Second, we're going to hit that trap tile twice, so it will give us a little bit of a buffer to ensure that the Black Mage and the White Mage are level 19 when we exit the Citadel. And you'll notice both runners have picked up the Healing Staff. It is not because we actually are going to use the Healing Staff for its intended purpose. We are actually going to use the item glitch And the healing staff allows us to glitch Lordly Robes. Lordly Robes gives you a slight defense boost, but more important, it gives you a very hefty intelligence boost, which is what we need to ensure that for YoshiKyon, the Black Mage, for GreenCleric, the White Mage, have a high enough intelligence score that Fyra, Thundra, and Blizzaria are going to do enough damage to help us with mob control. So YoshiKyon has gotten the rat tail and has stepped on the spike tile, or the trap tile, to get the zombie dragon. That is a programmed fight. I did not see if he got the level already. You'll notice GreenCleric did a slight deviation. That was to pick up the gauntlets. So now GreenCleric will have the Mage's Staff for Fyra, the black shirt for Blizzaria, and the gauntlets for Thundra. So now GreenCleric has access to all the AoE spells, area of effect, that we need for the entirety of the run. Okay, and GreenCleric just got to level 19, which is perfect. So we need level 19, so that way we can get the last couple spells that we need. In fact, we would probably skip the Citadel of and the Bahamut Cave. Oh, Yoshi got lost. There you go, Yoshi. Good job. We would skip the Citadel of Trials and the Bahamut Cave if we didn't need the class change to get Teleport and Healera. But because we need Teleport and Healera, we have to do the class change. So we are required to do this fetch quest so we can get access to those two spells. You need Healera, because without Healera, you cannot do the Chaos Fight at the low levels that we're going to be at. More than likely, White Mage, Black Mage will probably be level 28, between 26 and 28. Fighter and Thief will probably be hovering around level 21 to 24. So because we're going to be so low level, you absolutely have to have Healera and be able to cast it every single round, or you will fail. So we've done our class change, or costume change. Our runners have just high-fived each other. Yoshi's on the way out as GreenCleric is going in. So now that we have gotten the class change, let's see what Yoshi's doing. This is where some of the runs kind of deviate. So Yoshi is going to go ahead and get the Axial. Like I said, this is the part where sometimes runners will deviate because some people will go and get the Axial. Some people go directly to Mount Gold. Runner's choice. I don't really think there's which way is faster. Most of us do the Axial first and then go to Mount Gold just because it makes more sense. You go directly west from Bahamut's Cave, then you go very slightly northwest, Sagaya, and then another slight northwest, and you're into Mount Gold. So you're going to have to make those stops anyways. So it really makes sense to do it that way. But again, I've seen people who do it the other way, where you go to Mount Gold and then do Axial, and they're still just as fast. So I guess it still is about runner skill. So you go to the caravan, you buy the fairy bottle, and you automatically release the fairy in Gaia. Now you'll notice that we also go back into the caravan and buy Giant's Tonics. So the reason we're buying Giant's Tonics is in combat, if you use the Giant's Tonic, it gives you a HP boost for that battle. And we will be you won't see the Giant's Tonics again until we get to the Chaos Fight, where we will probably use the Giant's Tonic to give a slight HP buff to the Black Mage for sure, possibly the Thief. So we've got our Giant's Tonics. GreenCleric's getting ready to release has just released the fairy, and Yoshi is now in Mount Gold. Now you'll notice that as Yoshi's walking through Mount Gold, every time he steps on a lava tile, he's taking damage. The plus side to that is that every time he's on a lava tile and taking damage, he has a 0% chance of getting a random encounter. So as you traverse, you try and maximize how many lava tiles you walk on so that way you can ensure that you minimize your random encounters. Some people will heal up as they're going through as a buffer, just to make sure that the party doesn't get wiped out. And the reason you would do that is because if you get ambushed, there are a couple critters in here that do have area of effect spells, and they can wipe out your party. Because you'll notice YoshiKyon has 1 hit point, 19 hit points, 1 hit point. So an area of effect spell, like even if it was like the monsters collectively spit at you, could kill you. So Yoshi just ran into a fire elemental. That's a 1 in a 64% chance, a 1 in 64 chance encounter. So that's pretty cool. You don't see that very often. It can be kind of scary because at least when I ran into a fire elemental, my mind froze for a second because you run into them so rarely. I had to remember what the strategy was to fight them. Now, Merilith is not that difficult, but we go ahead and resurrect or bring the warrior back because we need him to start getting experience again. So the warrior's back. It also gives us 2 opportunities to heavily melee attack Merilith. As long as they do the right order and they do enough damage. Okay. That sucked. I mean, it's not too bad. Black Mage is what YoshiKyon really needs leveled, but still, that kind of sucks. That White Mage died. But as long as you can get your physical attacks in there quickly, you can hopefully avoid the Fire-Aga, because Merilith can cast Fire-Aga. If Merilith casts Fire-Aga, there's a good chance that everyone dies. Well, Roz, yeah, that's because our levels are so low. I neglected when we finished the Earth Cave. So you'll notice that now that YoshiKyon's killed Merilith, the Merilith statue has disappeared. So that bonus dungeon, Hellfire Dungeon, is now open. So the bonus dungeons, so these 4 elemental-themed dungeons are in both the GBA and the PSP versions. They allow you to take your Warriors of Light and fight enemies from previous Final Fantasy games. Not so much the minion enemies, but the bosses. So you can fight Phantom Train or brain fart, the Final Fantasy IV, Rubicante and stuff like that. You can fight all those characters from different Final Fantasies. I think it's 5, 6, 4. I don't remember what the 4th one is. 5, 4, 6. Maybe someone in chat remembers. But to me, what's the point in fighting Phantom Train if you can't suplex him? There you go. Thank you, Toku Hero. So 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you can't suplex the Phantom Train, to me, it's pointless. That's why I would struggle to ever speedrun Final Fantasy VI, because I cannot fight Phantom Train without suplexing him. You just got to do it. So GreenCleric is buying the only spells that you will have seen. You're such a punny guy, Shawnee. So GreenCleric has bought the only spells that you're going to see this entire run. So GreenCleric needs teleport and healera, whereas you'll see YoshiKyon is buying all the spells. Haste. Oh, they both would have bought haste. So they both have haste. They both have teleport. They both have healera. Yoshi's just going to have the actual spells for Thundara, Lazaria, and Fyra. Now, one of the things to also point out as a difference between the PSP version and the NES version is because the NES version was pretty much a complete ripoff of old school D&D, you had so many casts of a spell per day, and then you would have to use a tent or a cabin or go to the inn to recharge. In the PSP version, that they went with what later iterations of the franchise went with, which is magic points. So each spell now has a magic point value. So we abuse the heck out of that because that do things that the NES runners cannot do. So YoshiKyon just ran into an unrunnable encounter with the Sahagin Chief, Sahagin Prince mob. So Sunken Shrine can be a place that it's not that dangerous, but you can lose a lot of time. Because you have a higher probability of what YoshiKyon just ran into. You've got water elementals, Sahagin Prince, Sahagin Chiefs. You can run into a pack of ghosts. All three of those are unrunnable. So everybody, YoshiKyon has now shown you all three of the unrunnable encounter formations that you run into in this dungeon. He's done all three of them in 2 minutes. So Ghost, you will have to cast Fire Up. Amazingly enough, the water elementals are weak against Blizzaria. I still don't understand how that works. And then the Sahagin pack is by Thundara. So we're going to pick up one item, the Rosetta Stone, and then we're going to use Teleport. So what Teleport does is it allows us to exit the floor and re-enter the previous floor we were on exactly where we exited. So we're going to cast Teleport twice. Okay, so you're seeing a slight route deviation. So there are 2 light axes in Sunken Shrine. There is a light axe on floor 2. There is a light axe on floor 4. If you can get the light axe on floor 4 without too many encounters, it's actually about 2 seconds faster. If you have lots of encounters, it pretty much even. So GreenCleric is going at the traditional spot that we get it, which is 2nd floor. Yoshi's going to the 4th floor. So what the light axe allows us to do is it allows us to get survival vests. So survival vest is going to be the best armor that we're going to equip this entire run. It gives us a slightly higher defense, but more importantly, it continues to up our agility so that we continue to increase our chance to be able to evade random encounters. So GreenCleric is heading to the traditional spot that we all pick up the light axe. It was during the tournament last year that people started experimenting with the 4th floor light axe to see if that was faster. And like I said, they figured out that you have a potential 2 to 5 second gain if you use that one. So not significant, but like I said, I lost a race by 8 seconds. So let's see, what's the question? Yes, they are actually underwater. At least so the lore of Final Fantasy 1 goes, is that they are literally under the water, and that's why they needed the Oxyol, which is a bubble of air that allows them to continue to breathe underwater. At least how I understand it. I'll see if anybody else in chat understands it differently, but that's how I've always understood it, is that you are literally under the water, because that's why you go in the barrel submarine, not a yellow submarine, the barrel submarine. You go down so that way you can get fully under the water. So the nice thing for Yoshi is that GreenCleric's been having a bunch of unrunnable encounters. It's allowed Yoshi to make up time that he lost on floor 4. So they are pretty much like right on each other. In fact, I would say Yoshi just got ahead by probably about... Is Yoshi ahead? No. GreenCleric's still ahead. Sorry. You go back and forth between the floors, so it can sometimes be confusing if you're not completely focused. And like I mentioned, ADHD, so I bounce back and forth. So I'm staring at chat sometimes and I'm not looking at the action. But I think Yoshi is ahead by maybe a couple seconds. So it's a race to see who's going to get to Kraken first. And the sea scorpions are not dangerous. It's just they're eating up GreenCleric's time because of the ambush. So right now Yoshi is probably about 30 seconds, maybe 40 seconds ahead. Now, the Kraken fight, completely not a problem. Wow, that is a good call. Yoshi, you have amazing... I think your Black Mage has almost the highest... The Black Mage is the second highest HP in your party, and that's insane. So depending how Yoshi's Thief levels, Yoshi may not have to use the Giant Tonic at all in the Chaos fight. Now, it'll still possibly be dangerous, but there's a good chance. he might be able to, because the Giant's Tonic makes us lose rounds because we have to get that HP boost so that way people don't die. There you go. Toku Hero with the fact drop. He's dropping knowledge bombs. The highest HP we've had so far is 345. Maybe Yoshi can break that. So remember the whirlpool we sailed past? Yoshi and GreenCleric just unlocked the bonus dungeon in there. I didn't point it out, but when we were walking up to the Chaos Shrine at the very beginning of the run, there was a cave off to the left that we completely ignored. That cave is the Earth bonus dungeon that gets unlocked by Lich's death. So we've unlocked the Hellfire dungeon, the whatever the Earth one is called, and the Water one. So now that we've beaten Sunken Shrine, and you'll notice the most Kraken did not give us any issues at all. It's so sad because Kraken is such a well-dressed feat. I mean, that cape is amazing. But for the most part, he's a paper tiger. He doesn't do anything to us. Like, he might do a little bit of damage, but for the most part, Kraken can't touch us. So Yoshi is the first one into Waterfall Cave. Waterfall Cave is my second least favorite dungeon. Earth Cave is my first. The Waterfall Cave has, as far as I can tell, the highest encounter rate in the entire frickin' game. There have been times that when I go in this dungeon, I have gotten so frustrated by how many random encounters you can have. I mean, you can have one-step encounters. It can get so frustrating. You can miss your turn and get lost. There's only one way to traverse this dungeon, and this is by far the largest dungeon that we traverse. Single screen, right? So the largest single screen dungeon that we traverse in this entire game. So a lot of opportunity to get lost if you take a wrong turn. So you'll notice the Pyrolisk did an instant kill on one of Yoshi's people. That kind of sucks. Okay, that doesn't kind of suck. That sucks. You're absolutely right, Toku Hero. This is why I hate this dungeon with such a passion. So it looks like YoshiKyon is going to get to the treasure room first. So there's a trap tile right as you walk in the door. You can always run away from it. And he got kind of a lousy spawn with the robot. GreenCleric had a little bit better of a spawn. So depending on where the robot is, if the robot spawns right next to the door, that's ideal. Because again, remember, this is the highest encounter rate dungeon that we deal with. So having to walk over to the robot just increases the opportunity to have a random encounter. So we pick up the ribbon and we pick up the warp cube. Now, if you're watching GreenCleric, you'll see that GreenCleric put the cursor initially in the helmet slot, like he was going to equip the ribbon, but then created the Giganax. This is the only time we do the glitch in reverse, where we glitch the item that gives us the item we want. So we glitch the Giganax so that way we can have it sitting in our inventory. So as we go left and right of the thief and the fighter, we can glitch ribbons onto everybody. So there are 4 ribbons stashed throughout this entire map, or throughout this entire game. But this allows us to not have to go find them all. We can just equip ribbons on everybody. Everybody gets a ribbon. Not quite like everybody gets a trophy, because the ribbon gives us a high defensive bonus. It makes it so that spells do less damage to us, and we are now immune from all status effects like paralyzation and stone and stuff like that, which is really awesome. So you'll notice that YoshiKyon attacked those hellhounds. The reason we attacked those hellhounds is because for some reason, there are times when you encounter a pack of 3 hellhounds, they're still flagged as if they have a ogre mage with them. We don't know why. It's just a screw up in the coding, or I guess Atari would say it's a unintended feature. So an unintended feature is that you will encounter a pack of 3 hellhounds that the game still treats as if there's an ogre mage around there. We don't know why. It's just the way it is. So there are times that surprise mechanics. Yes. But unlike a loot box, you're still not getting something that you don't have a probability of getting something that you want. No one ever wants the randomness. Let's see. So GreenCleric is making the long trek to Lufenia. So we've gone to Dr. Une. We've shown him the Rosetta Stone. He's taught us Lufenian. And now we're walking all the way to Lufenia. So, like I mentioned, anytime we run into zombie minotaurs, it's an unrunnable encounter. And there's a high probability of running into zombie minotaurs on this trek, both to Lufenia and back. And it's one of the crazy things about this game, right? So you're gifted an airship that gives you the opportunity to traverse this entire map without having to deal with encounters. So you're like, thank God I can move quickly. But then, the game kind of does a kind of screw you thing, because you have places where the only clear tile you can land on is way far away from where you're going. So you still have to do lots of cardio. So it's really important that our Warriors of Light do not skip cardio day, because they're going to do lots of walking. Now, both of them had really good spawns with NPCs. Some of the NPCs in Lufenia can be kind of trolly, where they get in the way. But both of them had pretty good spawns, so that wasn't too bad. And again, you'll notice that they've been using the teleport spell to get out of towns and villages as quickly as possible. So, because NPCs love to just walk in front of you and stand there, and you'll have to push against them to get them out of the way. This makes it so you don't have to deal with that. As soon as you do the one thing you have to do in the town, you cast teleport, boom, you're done. It's great. All right, so I was not looking at the screen when Yoshi got this encounter. GreenCleric has yet another unrunnable. Gosh, they've had a lot of zombie minotaurs. They're both right next to each other. Yoshi's just getting into the freshwater. I mean, GreenCleric's just getting into the freshwater. Yoshi just got out of it. Oh, and GreenCleric got the encounter on the airship. That sucks. I hate that one. So this is our shortest flight. We just have to fly over the mountains, and boom, there you are. Zardia, thank you for the raid. You got here just in time to see the tail end of this race. It's a really close race. Both GreenCleric and Yoshi were really, really close in game 1, and in game 2, it's also still super close. They are neck and neck. So this is crazy. And I love it when it's close. It's just, like I said, I look back and forth so much that I get lost. So Yoshi has probably about a 10-second lead right now, which is quickly evaporating. So the blue dragon is a 1 in 64. Cannot run from it, has to fight it. So that's unfortunate. That ate up a lot of time. And he got lost. He didn't remember where he was at and went up. Oh, I hate when that happens. That totally sucks. And he got ambushed. But ribbons make it so that the Pyrolisk Stare doesn't do anything to us anymore. So, yeah. So they are both trying to get into the programmed fight with the blue dragon. And you'll notice they both are in the blue dragon fight at the same time. So we are, ladies and gentlemen, we are back neck and neck. Gosh, this is amazing. They're just going back and forth. It's really, right now, it's really going to come down to RNG. They're both executing really well. They're doing the item glitch really well. They're making it look really easy. The item glitch is probably one of the hardest things to master in this run because it's a frame perfect glitch, and we do it so much. And they're making it just look effortless. This is awesome. Two great runners, and we got a great race. They're just like right. Oh my gosh, they're just right next to each other. This is awesome. Now the Flying Fortress. If you remember the Flying Fortress from the NES version, to me it looked way more technological than this one. This one just looks really smooth. So it still looks very fantasy. Like it's just kind of floating by magic. The NES version went with that it's more technology. So they really tried to blend a little bit of sci-fi and fantasy together when they did this game. Like, for instance, YoshiKyon's fighting a robot. There's robots up here. So they had this mix of tech and fantasy. So Yoshi is on the eternal floor right now. So the eternal floor, you have to go 2 one direction, 2 left or 2 right, and then 2 up or 2 down. Otherwise, you will be traversing this floor forever. So GreenCleric actually made it to Tiamat first. So again, we had this crazy switch up. Unfortunately, no War Mech sightings. For those of you that are not familiar and are seeing people spamming War Mech in chat, War Mech has a 1 in 6. In theory, War Mech has a 1 in 64 chance of showing up on this floor as you're walking across the bridge. What is it? The Bridge of Destiny? I don't remember what it's called. But anyways, as you're walking across this bridge, you have a 1 in 64 chance. And War Mech seems to be the one that we see the least. The only thing I think that shows up less than War Mech is probably the Tyrannosaurus. Because there's only one spot that we run into the Tyrannosaurus. And that is while we're traversing our way to Lufenia. Hold on, I had to stop commentating for a second. One of my sons is asleep on the couch. So, so neither runner had a lot of issues with Tiamat, which is awesome. Because Tiamat can cast Thunderbolt. If you don't have your characters all healed up properly, Thunderbolt can kill people. So, ideally we don't want that. But Tiamat has a lot of HP, so we have to also hope that we get high damage rolls as well. So GreenCleric is the first one out. Now, something I haven't mentioned and we haven't really seen, there is a chance for random encounters as you're walking to the teleport tile. The dungeon is still active. Oh, did he cast Thunderbolt on Cleric? Okay. Sorry, I wasn't watching. I was trying to keep my son from rolling on the floor. Rolling onto the floor. So we've now beaten all 4 of the fiends. So we're now going into the Chaos Shrine. So you'll notice this robed figure that does not exist in the NES version. This guy only exists in the PSP version to unlock the time dungeon. So we're going to ignore that. You only need to do the time dungeon if you're a sadist and you want to do 100%. Now, cool factoid, you see the bats in the throne room? Those happen to be Lufenians. Not only are they Lufenians, they are the warriors of light that attempted to beat chaos before you and failed. So when you first are going through the game, before you learn Lufenian, when you talk to the bats, they go key, key. I've done a screen capture. They do say that. So they go key, key. After you've done the Rosetta Stone, you can talk to the bats and they will tell you their sad tale of how they failed and how chaos defeated them. Not only do they tell you that chaos defeated them, you find out that the airship you've enjoyed riding in for the past 30 minutes originally was theirs. You're welcome. So we are now in the Chaos Shrine. Chaos Shrine can be either really nice or really bad. You notice everybody safety saves right away. The reason we safety save right away is because of what GreenCleric just ran into, white dragons. Now GreenCleric was very fortunate with those white dragons. If you get a pack of 4 in an ambush, it's awful. Because they can spam Ice Storm and wipe out your entire party. So that's why we safety save. Because the ice dragons are probably the enemy that is the most scary this entire run. So you'll notice Yoshi's fighting green dragons, and so is GreenCleric right now. Green dragons, unrunnable. Purple worms, unrunnable. If you run into elementals, earth, fire, or water, if they are elemental pure, unrunnable. Air elementals you can run away from. Apparently the air can't hold you down. GreenCleric has hit the trap tile first. That Death Eye is a programmed encounter. All right, so here we go. Ready? See that loot he's playing? Remember what I mentioned an hour and 16 minutes ago? That we needed to get the loot from Princess Sarah? Here's why. If you do not have the loot, you cannot progress. You're stuck right here. So what this does is by playing the lute, you go down those stairs, and it takes us 2,000 years in the past. Zombie dragons, unrunnable encounter. You're seeing zombie dragons on both sides. By the way, they're both unrunnable encounters. So we're going to use fire red to get rid of them. All right. Yoshi gets the first to floor 1 first. Oh, man. Okay, it's just purple worms. So floor 1 is the only place where we can run into white dragons. So we only run into white dragons, and it's both times we're on floor 1. The first time we come in, and when we're going back in time. YoshiKyon, it's an Earth Elemental Pure encounter, so he's got to fight those. And as Tokohiro mentioned, Yoshi's getting really close to getting the award of having the highest HP Black Mage in this entire tournament. And you'll notice oh my gosh, this floor can be painful to traverse because you have to walk all the way around the floor to get to Lich. So there's a lot of opportunities for random encounters, and it's pretty high here. Now here's another place that it's foolish not to safety save. So there's 4 spots. Twice in front of Lich, once in front of Chaos, and once at the Ice Cave. Those are 4 places you never skip the safety save. Never. Because if you fail, those are places that it's very high likelihood that you will die. Now, you may have noticed on GreenCleric's screen, his ninja had a parry animation, had the sword flying around his head. So there are certain items that trigger a parrying animation. Usually it's shields, or if you have 2 swords, it can be a parry animation. So because of that parry animation, be very careful what we put in the shield slot, because if you put something that is not associated with a parry animation, it will soft lock the game, and then you're done. You're going to have to go to your most recent save. So items that we have discovered that have a parry animation associated with them: lordly robes, survival vest, and ribbons. I don't know why, but they're programmed that way, that they all 3 have parry animation. So we can put things. That's the only time you'll see us putting things in the shield slot, is one of those 3 items. So GreenCleric had no issues getting through Marilith. Actually, the great thing, had any issues going through Lich 2, which is awesome, because Lich 2 has a very high probability of casting Flare. If you do not have everybody healed up, there's a chance that Flare will kill enough of your characters that you have to do a reset. Now, just like it was in the Sunken Shrine, the water floor in the Chaos Shrine has some unrunnable encounters that can be a pain to get through. And so GreenCleric's now had 2 water elemental encounters. And again, it's not that the water elementals are really dangerous. It's just it eats up time to have to do all the menuing to kill them. So now I call this the door floor, because we're going in and out of lots of doors on this floor. YoshiKyon having a water elemental encounter, that's slowing him down. GreenCleric is steadily moving towards the Kraken encounter. This is Kraken 2, as we affectionately call him. Again, no more dangerous than Kraken 1 was. So really, Marilith 1, Marilith 2, Kraken 1, Kraken 2, pushovers. They're not that dangerous. It's just a matter of hitting them enough times to kill them. As far as the most dangerous fiend, Lich 1, Lich 2, and then Tiamat 1 can be kind of dangerous. Tiamat 2, not so much, as long as you have a high enough damage output and he doesn't spam Thunderbolt. Exactly, Trenton. I mentioned that earlier. That's just weird. My brain does not understand why casting ice on a water elemental works, but it does. So, magic. We will suspend disbelief and go with magic. Oh, GreenCleric accidentally did an extra step and got a random encounter. giving Yoshi a chance to get a little bit more caught up. So they are now both at the Tiamat encounter. So when a race is this close, an extra step can make all the difference because it triggers that extra encounter. Okay, that Thunderbolt wasn't good, especially since his Black Mage is missing out on the experience here. And you'll notice Scourge doesn't do anything to us because of the ribbons. Poison Cloud, however, does. Poison Cloud can be bad. So, unfortunate for both of them. Their Warrior and Thief were doing really low damage output. But they're going to try and race to get to B5. As soon as you get to B5, you are done with random encounters. And Yoshi did not heal, but it's Air Elementals. That's not too bad. They're just going to whack at him. Okay, so B5, there's no encounters. You'll notice that GreenCleric is already doing in the middle of the item glitching. This is the last item glitch that we're going to do for the entire game, and we're getting everything set up for the Chaos fight. So what we're going to do is we're going to put Lordly Robes in the shield, helmet, and glove slot on the White Mage. We're going to put a ribbon on the armor slot. By stacking all the Lordly Robes and putting a Sage's Staff on the White Mage, we're maximizing the healing output of Healera. It makes it so that Healera is going to do probably 245 to 260 each round, which is absolutely necessary because of the area of effect spells that Chaos does. We've removed the Lust Dagger off of the Black Mage, and we've put a Barbarian Sword. As we go into this encounter, we're going to haste Warrior, Thief, Black Mage to maximize damage output. And they both entered this fight almost at the exact same time. So this is going to be a matter of who executes the fastest and who is Chaos the most kind to. Because Chaos can be a freaking troll here. Oh, Blizzaga the Black Mage should survive, just barely. Okay. Whew. The first round is the scariest with Chaos because you use the Giant's Tonics to give the opportunity to have the Thief and the Black Mage a high enough. Oh no, that's a reset. GreenCleric can't do this. Okay, GreenCleric's gonna go for it. Losing the White Mage is very bad. And then getting a Slowra. So, unfortunately, the Warrior's damage output has now been halved. The White Mage being killed, that's horrific. So he's going to have to rehaste the Warrior. The Thundraga is going to kill the White Mage again. Oh my gosh. That White Mage just had a low enough HP value. So the Chaos fight is a race, believe it or not, against Chaos. There are so many turns that he's going to take before he casts Curaga. If Chaos casts Curaga, it fully heals Chaos, and you have to start all over again. But I think YoshiKyon is at the hold X to win. As long as the Thief and the Warrior put out a high enough damage output, he's got a shot. GreenCleric is just cannot keep that White Mage alive. All right, GreenCleric's YOLOing it, trying to desperately get there. All right, Yoshi's got to get him this round. I think the Curaga is about to happen. Wait. Are you serious? Did GreenCleric... Good game, GreenCleric. Really? I am going to have to rewatch that. Because GreenCleric pretty much had the nightmare scenario. Well, GG's to both our runners. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. That was insane. Wow. Wow. All right, let me look at So this race was decided by less than 20 seconds, according to SRL. SRL time for GreenCleric is 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 6 seconds. YoshiKyon, it is 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 25 seconds. So, wow. Wow, that is, oh my gosh. That was down to the wire. That was amazing. Whew. GG's to our runners. We'll see if they want to do an interview. That is up to them. Oh, shoot. Hold on. Let's see. Done and done. Okay. Uh-oh. Did I just lose sound? I just lost sound. Did everyone else lose sound? Or did I just accidentally pull out my... All right, we have GreenCleric here. Chat, can you... Okay, the stream still has music? Okay, I can't hear anything. So let me know if you can't hear anything. But we are joined by GreenCleric and YoshiKyon. GG's to both of you. Holy crap, that was an awesome race.
Holy crap. Oh, God.
Wow.
That... did you watch Game 1?
I did not see Game 1, unfortunately.
Okay, did you hear what happened in Game 1 at the end?
I heard it was super close.
Well, yeah, it was super close because Chaos decided to crit my white mage for about 460 damage. So that's why I had my characters named Avoid Please. He didn't listen. And not only did he not listen, I have no idea how I won that fight.
I have no idea how you won that fight. I'm so mad.
I was in you. If you, I don't know if you were listening to the commentary. I was sure that you were not going to finish the fight. That you were going to have to reset, and you still finished first. I'm going to have to watch how you did that.
Kiraja.
I got lucky. Chaos decided to go with spells and then a physical or two. So I mean, I kept bringing up the white mage, and then it's like, okay, you got up. Let's do Hilara. Nope, not gonna happen. Down again. No, I mean, I honestly have no idea. Like when it was down to 2, it was just like, okay, forget it. You have to go YOLO. And then, like, the only thing I could hope for was a physical. At least it was on the black mage, so it was like, okay, I have a chance. I was trying to count the hit points. So final shot, I'm like, well, it's either this or GG, and yeah. But I mean, like, this was even close. This was even closer than race 1. I mean, I'm stunned.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, like, it was really weird. In Game 1, it was so close, and I said at the end, I was like, yeah, a lot of it was just RNG, and I'll do what I can to, you know, make what I can work, improve my menuing and that kind of thing. And today, I think my menuing was better, and everything else was worse. So, like, I could say that it was, you know, Kiraja, or it was like a couple of ambushes or whatever, but then at the same time I can go, well, I got lost on the way to Dragon Caves, I got a couple of fights that just threw my movement completely and I walked off in the wrong direction. And it's like, I could easily pick out 20 or 30 seconds where I cost myself that time, so...
I was, like, looking at my splits, it was like... I was never, during the whole race, I was never more than a minute ahead or behind my PBs. So, I mean, as far as consistency goes, it was a really consistent race, couple to be made. I mean, I wasn't, you know, I felt fine, like, heading into Chaos. It was like, okay, I know it's close, I have a shot. I mean, you know, worst case, even if I lose, I mean, it wasn't a bad run or anything like that. It was solid. And you know, as soon as the white mage went down right away, I'm like, I'm down 2-0. Like, I knew it, and it was like, I mean, I guess this is kind of the payback for Game 1. But oh my god, like, I don't know how Chaos can top this. I really don't.
You said about your PB, and I just looked at mine. Apparently, I was ahead of my PB at Kraken by 25 seconds, and then it just spiraled from there, just entirely downhill. But I always compare to my averages during races, and I was like consistently gaining time compared to my average. Like I was a little bit behind in the early game, but whatever.
But and you both entered the Chaos Shrine almost literally at the exact same second. It was hundredths of a second separation between you both entering the Chaos fight, which was absolutely crazy. And the thing that was really interesting and cool was that throughout the run, there would be times where GreenCleric would have horrible RNG, and it would give Yoshi the minute or two you needed to catch up, and then you would have horrible RNG, and then it would give the minute or two that GreenCleric needed to catch up. It was, I lost count of how many times the lead changed. It was an awesome race.
Yeah, I was looking over. I had the restream up, but it's hard to tell when it's like 40 seconds behind, and I can only glance over every now and then. But it looked like, I think I was ahead going into Earth Cavern, and then I fell behind like drastically there, tied it up around Lich, and from that point on it seemed like the closest I got was level, and then every so often I was like 30 seconds behind, 40 seconds behind, and it's like, okay, pulled it back. Oh, I'm 30 seconds behind again. And I spent the whole race like going, do I play risky? Like, I was constantly on that border of, I'm behind, but not by so much that I should take stupid risks.
Yeah, I mean, especially with this, like, even if you're a minute behind, you can make up in Chaos Shrine. You can make that up easily. I mean, looking, like, usually I just glance over at the restream, usually boss fight or something, just to kind of get an idea. But, I mean, when I was looking, it was like, everything didn't really go that bad. The only problem for me was Ice Cavern. That was the only problem. I mean, you know, I wiped once to Lich, but that was just, you know, Blizzard, and nothing you can do. But the other wipe was basically, oh great, Dark Wizard ambush. Nice. And again, that was Trolley 2. That was Trolley 2 because it was 3 of them. So, attack missed. Oh, there we go. There's the wipe.
Right, I saw that and I was like, oh, I should be gaining so much time here. And then next thing I knew, I was behind again. And I was like, wait, you died? How? And then
he did that safety save right in front of that trap tile fall through the floor. So so GreenCleric only really lost maybe 15 to 20 seconds with the reset.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Cavern to me, Earth's the first little roadblock you have, but to me, Ice Cavern, it's the most dangerous because it's so long. Plus the fact that there's enough little encounters there. It's not like you have a couple cockatrices that, okay, maybe they're going to miss or something. You have the white dragons, you have the dark wizards, you have a couple encounters that can just, if they ambush you, you're done.
Yeah, like I tend to, if I'm behind, I don't tend to save the Earth Cave anymore. I try and use that as my catch-up. Ice Cavern I'll still always save, like it's just too much. But I save at the start, not further in, and maybe I should change that.
Yeah, because, I mean, again, it's going to depend. I mean, especially if you get right near the end. I mean, I'll take 2 or 3 saves in Ice Cavern just because it's like, the stretches are just too much. I mean, that's the one place where if you just mess up, it's not going to be a 30-second or 1-minute loss. It's going to be 3 or 4 minutes if you weren't.
Yeah, I think the only weird one I had today was I safety saved halfway through the volcano. And I normally don't do that, but I'd run out of potions. I was down to like 8 potions going into the volcano, and I needed them for Marilith, so I took the save halfway through, just in case.
Yeah, I did see that. That was kind of not a normal place that people do a safety save, but I mean, you had an encounter almost 3 steps from it, so it could have almost been prophetic.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the odds are still against you, but all you need is Fire Hydra ambush or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, this is supposed to be an easy done.
Right, it was kind of that safety bubble between I could get ambushed, and also, if Marilith Firagas me, I don't know what my potion count looks like. I might just have to take a save here so that if I die to Marilith, I can get back.
That's really worrying when you're looking at Volcano going, oh geez, this is a trap.
I think the
I
issue...
would like to share with you, but I actually had a 0 encounter volcano this time, so
I think the issue for me was when I was leaving Ice Cave after the grind, I got the first fight after the undead was a Mind Flayer ambush that took out my thief. So I just wasted a bunch
I forgot about those. Yes.
Yeah, so I sunk a bunch of potions into that and then had to do it again immediately afterwards. And I think that meant that my count was low because I only get 41, and I think this route normally gets 51 to be safe. So I kind of play it a little low and got the bad side of the luck there.
I usually play it high with the potions. Like, lately I've been getting 71, 81. I mean, it's the start of the game. It takes 1-2 extra seconds to get those. I mean, to me, it's just in case something happens in Volcano or in case there's some really bad luck early on in the game, at least you can recover before you have your healing.
Yeah, I think when I was first learning the run, I kept doing that, and I kept ending up at the point where I could only buy like 3 or 4 gold needles because my money was too low.
Oh.
And so I got to the point where I was just like, all right, I have to cut something here. Where is it? And I thought the potions were the potions were the ones that seemed the most expendable.
True. And I mean, because that's why. Because I mean, to me, it's just because I know routing sometimes says just get as many Phoenix Downs as you can, but it's like, well, no, I mean, 11 should be fine, because to be honest, if you do need more than 11 Phoenix Downs, if you actually do need those, you've probably already lost the race.
Yeah, I actually toyed today with doing the Fairy Bottle and Gaia and the spells, and just swapping those over, so picking up the spells before the volcano, and then going to the desert and Gaia afterwards, just so that I would have Healara for the volcano.
Yeah, I mean, there's little modifications you can make to the route. I mean, especially in that case, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, but at the same time, I mean, I'm just stunned that we've had 2 races and they've both been neck and neck, and I honestly don't know how we can top this. It was because I remember Hib and Toku were saying after game 1, they're like, okay, so we're gonna expect another great race for game 2, and I said, you mean we have to top this?
And then we kind of did.
And we kind of did, yeah.
And that Chaos fight was absolutely insane. Like I said, GreenCleric, I was watching it and I was sure you weren't going to make it through, and then I was absolutely floored. That was awesome.
Yeah, thanks, but I still have no idea how I did. This Chaos guy is such a major troll. He is such a pain in the you-know-what. I mean, I just don't know. Like, even I was just looking at this, like, when I got the flash, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's not how this was supposed to happen. This was supposed to be, oh, you lost by 2.5 minutes. Well, it was closer than you thought. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know how I pulled that off, but I did, and now we got a best of 3.
It's crazy that we've had 2 races that combined were separated by under a minute.
Yeah, and 2 races, 2 white mage wipes for me in Chaos. I mean, I can't happen a 3rd time, can it?
I've had
don't tempt fate.
I've had amazing.
I was tempting fate. I said avoid, please. He didn't listen, so I don't know how much more I can tempt fate.
I'm on 2 runs and 2 tonicless chaoses, so I'll keep taking those.
Yeah. How much HP did your black mage have?
That was my question.
300 and... Let me reload. I think it's 350-ish.
Because if it was 350, that means that you had the black mage with the highest HP in this entire tournament.
Let me load up my chaos save.
Because that was
338.
Okay.
Just off.
It's still pretty lucky.
Still insane. More HP than my ninja and more than my white mage for most of the run. Ended up 6 behind.
Yeah, mine was, I think, ended at 197. So I was a little worried going into the fight, but that was the least of my worries.
Well, I would say at this point, is there any shout outs or last minute things you all want to say before we wrap up for tonight?
I really hope so. Your semi-final cleric was a best of 5 that went to game 5 in this kind of manner, back and forth games the whole way. But you traded wins. I can only hope that this goes the same way.
We traded, exactly. We traded wins. But the games were not as close, and I'm not saying they weren't close. I mean, 90 seconds in this game is close. I mean, it's just you had a little bit of bad luck, or you had a bad fight at the end. Yeah, no disrespect to anybody. I mean, but these have been insane. So I mean, this is shaping up to be interesting. That's all I'll say. And nerve-wracking.
Well, thank you both for a phenomenal race that was really enjoyable to watch. And it sounds like there will be a race again tomorrow evening. So time to be determined. We'll have that. We'll probably announce that on Twitter. Or you can look at the Speed Gaming schedule for when that's going to happen. But the last thing I would say is that if you enjoyed the run as you were watching it, I spammed the Discord link. Feel free to jump into the Discord. It's really easy to find the ISO for Final Fantasy 1 and to play it on PPSSPP. We have a great community. We always love to have new participants who are learning the run. And we've even had a bunch of people this year who had learned the run about a month or two before the tournament, and we're still pretty competitive. So
my first run was the 30th of May this year. Was my first ever run of this game. I'm also on that note. Actually, I'm gonna throw around ideas coming up soon to try and get like maybe a weekly race, maybe like every couple of weeks, but a regular race going within the community. So perfect time to jump in.
That would sound great, because especially with this game, one thing is that it's not difficult to learn. Like, even for some people that are going like, I can't speedrun anything, nothing like that. This is not a hard game to learn. Obviously, it's going to take a bit of practice. There's a lot of RNG, but this is something that you feel satisfied when you're done. You feel satisfied when you get a PB, and just because you're laughing in the face of the game when it's all said and done.
Well, with that, again, thank you both for GG's to both of you. Thank you for the awesome race. And please feel free to tune in tomorrow night. And hopefully we'll have another riveting race. So thank you all, and see you all for our next game for Game 3.